So this video is not going to be so much about how to do something as to what needs to be done. Before I get started in actually showing you anything here, one thing that I want to make sure that you fully consider when with respect to converting over to Lizzy and actually using it day to day in the business is that it is not okay to not use the accounting in Lizzy and then later expect to start using it. So we definitely want to make sure that when you get started with Lizzy and you start going through all of these conversion processes and getting up and running, that on day one we begin writing checks, paying purchase orders, writing our expenses. All of that stuff needs to be done on a daily basis through the system. If you end up thinking that you're going to only start selling stuff and then later you're going to come back and start doing the accounting, what you're going to end up with is a costly reset that could cost upwards of $1,000 to get reset, so that you can then start using the accounting, and you end up losing a lot of data that really is not very hard to keep track of in the beginning. So do not under any condition think that you're going to partially do this and then get started later putting everything in. So the process that I wanted to cover real quick in this video is going to be the trial balance out of your old system and getting it entered into Lizzy. It is really a fairly trivial process to get this stuff done. You do, in some cases, you're going to have to go in and create a chart of account entries, and I would direct you over to the accountant section for how to work with the chart of accounts to create new accounts. But the general process is that we're going to come in here to create adjustment, and we're going to actually create an adjustment for each account. So one keynote is, and you need to make sure that you pick one or the other of the owner equity accounts, either the owner equity that we said, the 310 account for sole proprietorship, or use the 320 for a corporation, but only use one of them. Don't use both of those accounts because it's going to confuse your accountant. So every adjustment that you're going to make is going to go against that owner equity account, and so some accounts are going to be pulling things out of that account, some will be putting things in that account, but at the end of the day, the owner's equity account ought to balance against what you had in your old system so that everything matches up and works. Whether you want to go in and put individual sales account numbers in for each month or each quarter or just for the whole year, it's perfectly okay to do all of that stuff. You can backdate the entries and put things in. We generally recommend that if you do something like that you just pick the last day of the month that you're putting the entry in to put those entries in. But it is a good way to get the P&L and balance sheet and stuff all working properly for you. Now keep in mind that when you do these adjustments, some of them are already going to be there. For example, your accounts receivable, your checking, your inventory, those and payables, those accounts are getting done when you actually create the entries in those particular modules. So the only thing that we're talking about doing here is creating the entries for the specific things that aren't included in that initial setup. So for example, if we wanted to go in here and add and see, like inventory, you're not going to be doing any kind of adjustment against inventory, but let's say that we wanted to go down here to our sales accounts, and I want to go to the sales Can-Am, and I want to put a $10,000 sale for a particular month. So I'm going to go in and credit the sales account, and then we're going to go down to our 310 account because that's what we've been doing in all of our videos. We're going to go down here to the 310 account, and we're going to use it as our owner equity side, and then we'll put in the same amount of money, except this will be a debit. So as long as they equal, then we hit process, and everything is taken care of. Now, there is another process that you can do that will expedite this a little. If you go over to your chart of accounts and you open up to view your chart of accounts, one of the things that you can actually do is export your chart of accounts, and it'll actually stick it into an Excel spreadsheet. And so what it will do is you then can take that Excel spreadsheet and import it back into the system. So you basically take the Excel spreadsheet, and I'm gonna look at one thing here. So you would take that Excel spreadsheet, you would write all of the information and stuff in for the balances out of your old system. So basically we give you a list of all your accounts, and then you're just filling in the amounts that you want to adjust. And then you come over here to settings, accounting, GL balance import, and it will actually do all your GL hits for you at once. So instead of having to go through and do a bunch of individual entries, you can do them all at once by taking that exported Excel sheet from the chart of accounts and importing it through this controller. If you need any help or have any questions with that process before you do it, by all means call support and get some questions answered. But the point is that going in and actually doing these GL entries, other than just being a little bit labor intensive for having to go in and do all the individual hits, it's not really a tremendous thing, and you're only going to be doing this one time, after you get converted. Once you're converted into Lizzy, all of these numbers will actually be getting done automatically for you as you're selling things and ordering things. So just remember, always use the same owner's equity account. Always use accounting. Don't on the first day think you're going to get started on accounting in another month. Do it all from the first day, and then go into the accountant section of the Learning Center, because there's tons of videos in there on how to do pretty much everything that you're going to be doing as an accountant in the business to make sure that your books are always balanced and that everything is all in the system from the very beginning.